Greetings and welcome, my friends. This is Carrie Konyha at Soul Star Healing Arts Center in Sedona, Arizona. I'm a professional psychic reader and shamanic energy healing practitioner who loves working with astrology through the lens of evolutionary astrology and shamanic astrology to support, guide, and inform our life path journeys. Today, we're taking a look at the energies shaping up astrologically for this first week of September, including the new moon happening in the sign of Virgo. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Welcome back, my friends. So I am coming to you today from my actual healing center, so you get to catch a glimpse at our little front waiting area here. I hope to see you here in person someday. If you're planning on visiting Sedona anytime soon, please do feel free to reach out ahead of time, book an appointment with me. I always love connecting with my clients in person. Here in the Southwest, many indigenous cultures associate the energy of each new moon with an archetype of the sacred feminine. And the archetype of the sacred feminine that is connected to the lunar cycle that happens each September is called, in some tribes, setting sun woman. And this is connected to the fact that we are literally in the last month of summer now. The days are growing shorter, and soon we're going to be coming into the fall equinox, and I will be doing a video specifically around the energies of the fall equinox and how to use that energy to support our life path journeys as well. But setting sun woman, the teachings that come with this lunar cycle are connected to learning how to best harness and channel the power of our will, the power of our intent to ensure the continuation of abundance and prosperity for ourselves and our loved ones, our sphere of influence for the future. This lunar cycle offers us energies that support us in going within, finding our own truth, and learning how to optimize resourcefulness, which actually is connected to the Virgo energy of this new moon. Elementally speaking, we primarily have earth energies showing up this week, which obviously is manifestation energy. This is a really good lunar month to have some consideration around all the things that you've been putting energy into so far in this year, and taking some time to notice how things are manifesting for you based on that, and then also channeling the energy of your will to give those manifestation intentions an extra little boost while we are still in these last few days of summer. So big picture astrological energies, the new moon is happening on September 2nd, 3rd, depending on your time zone. But just days before the new moon, Mercury went direct, and we will still be in the shadow period of Mercury until September 11th. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But we also have Pluto retrograding back into the sign of Capricorn, which happens on the day of me recording this, which is September 1st. This brings us into a strong transformative cycle as well, which I'm going to talk about the details of in a minute here. Some additional highlights that I want to mention here that we're going to get a little bit deeper into is on September 4th, Mars enters the sign of Cancer. On September 8th, Mercury goes into Virgo. We end that shadow period of Mercury retrograde on September 11th. And on September 17th, we have a lunar eclipse. So this new moon that we're having now is establishing the energies that we're moving into eclipse season with. So in 2 weeks from now, we have a lunar eclipse. And then 2 weeks after that, we have a solar eclipse. Eclipses always serve to illuminate our awareness in regard to anything that has felt obscure, unclear, or hidden. So this is a time collectively where we're all going to experience some type of personal clarities that enable us to make pivots and shifts in the directions that are more aligned with our deepest manifestation goals and dreams. And that part has to do with the Neptune, which I'm going to talk about. So one of the things that I can suggest right away, just based on this energy, is considering the following self-inquiry. What in my life needs to shift so that I have room to grow? That is ultimately the secret key to maximizing the ways that we can harness the potential of these energies that are showing up, taking time to consider, what do I need to let go of? Where do I need to shift in order to make space and room for growth? So when we're talking about manifesting our deepest dreams, it's not just new car, new job, things like that, but manifesting your best self. With some of the things that are going on with Saturn right now, this is a time of deep reclaiming your true, authentic soul nature of who you are and living as the embodiment of that. This truly is a time of stepping into our healed, empowered selves. I'm going to start talking about the details here, but first let me say, overall, the planet Mercury feels to be the highlight energy connected to this lunar cycle. One, because both the sun and the moon are in Virgo, which are ruled by Mercury. Mercury is active right now because it just went direct, and there's some aspects that are going on that are also connected to Mercury. So let me go ahead and dive into the specifics here. So to begin with, the sun and the moon are conjunct in the sign of Virgo. So let's talk about what Virgo represents. The qualities of Virgo are connected to, on one level, organization, resourcefulness, productivity, efficiency, strategy, and health routines. In shamanic astrology, Virgo relates to the archetype of the priestess. And so it's a lot about embodying your sacred self, thriving through living within the auric atmosphere of sacred space that you create for yourself and the people that you share space with. Virgo, as the archetype of the high priestess, is also connected to the archetype of our sacred work. So with the overall themes that I've already talked about, a golden nugget within that to focus on is asking yourself, what is my sense of sacred work? And we can look at that as what feeds my soul? What really fills my heart with a sense of meaning and purpose and soul calling? Now, the sun and the moon conjunct in Virgo means that the solar and the lunar energies are working in unison together. The sun is our awareness. On one level, it's our identity. In shamanic astrology, it's the fuel that we burn. It's how we show up in our lives. So while the sun is in Virgo, this is a time where we are all going to be collectively having some type of motivation and ambition to really create an environment for thriving growth in alignment with what our sacred work is. And we're doing this either consciously or unconsciously, right? So working with it consciously enables us to make better use of the energy. And then the lunar aspect on one level is our inner being, our deep intuition, our feeling state. So this is a time of allowing your deep intuition to inform how you're showing up and how you're taking action in the world. Now, here's the thing. Both the sun and the moon conjunct, which happens every new moon, which brings us into that time of new beginning. This lunar cycle, the sun and the moon are in an opposition to Saturn in Pisces. Saturn is a planet that is connected to structure, time. It's connected to conventional ideas. It's connected to rules, regulations. And in shamanic astrology, it's also connected to karma. And what's really interesting here is that Saturn and Neptune are still co-present in Pisces. They're a little too far apart to be considered a strong conjunction right now. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because Neptune has to do with our dreams, like our dreams in regard to, what makes our soul sing and thrive, what brings us into our exuberance, like those level of dreams. Now, right now, the new moon is opposite of Saturn, but by the time we get to the full moon, which is where the lunar eclipse is, that full moon is going to be positioned right between Saturn and Neptune. So all three of them are going to relatively be co-present, loose conjunction with each other. So this new moon is planting the seed of awareness of exactly what I spoke of earlier. What in my life needs to shift so that I have room to grow? By the time we get to that full moon lunar eclipse in 2 weeks, there's going to be not only a fuller awareness around these things, but a willingness to take the action necessary. Many of us are going to feel like we can finally break free or become liberated from anything that's been holding us back in any capacity, which is a type of soul level maturing that we experience. It's a time where we are meant to not be attached to the things that are not serving the parts of us that we want to empower and the timeline or the direction that we want to be going in our life. There's also a T-square happening between Saturn, Jupiter, and the Sun and the Moon. Now, Jupiter right now is in Gemini. So that is emphasizing that Mercury dominant energy that we've got going on right now. What's Mercury about? Communication. It's sharing ideas. It also is playfulness, socializing. And Jupiter shows us where we have collective room for growth right now. Jupiter is squaring Saturn, the planet of growth, good fortune, opportunity, squaring the planet of structure, the planet that can sometimes lead to restriction. So again, that message of that our growth comes through letting go of that which is restricting. Jupiter being in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, and the Sun and the Moon being in Virgo, which is also ruled by Mercury. To me, this speaks of a pathway that can shape up for us around our forward growth with all the themes we've already talked about that is connected to speaking our truth. And that can be as simple as tapping into what our own inner truth is and paying attention to that and guiding ourselves forward in that growth direction based on listening to, honoring, and following through with what our inner truth is. Now, because Jupiter is in Gemini, there could be components that have to do with literal opportunity for speaking your truth, either to yourself or to other people, as a part of that liberation and growth process. Now, another thing that's connected with Mercury here, actual Mercury, which just went direct a few days ago, right now it's in the sign of Leo, which brings us into courageousness with our self-leadership, okay? And Mercury is in a square to Uranus. When Uranus is connected to Mercury, it brings us into opportunities to have deeper, clearer awareness that comes from like cosmic levels. Uranus is considered to be the higher octave of Mercury. It's connected to us being able to access higher guidance, transmissions, and those being able to filter through to our conscious awareness. So this is a really good lunar month to practice meditation, or whatever it is that you do, whatever practice that you have that helps you to tap into what your own higher guidance is for yourself, whether you feel that that's coming from your own higher self, spirit guides, God, universe, cosmic consciousness, whatever. This is a month where we have access to that energy. And I want to remind us all, because I'm talking about these square aspects that are happening. Squares are considered to be challenge aspects. They can act as checkpoints where we do little check-ins with ourselves and we ask ourselves if where we're at right now is working for us, and if not, where we have room to grow through expanding beyond our comfort zones. And with what we're talking about here with the Uranus and Mercury square, it's remembering to tap into higher guidance as a guide for yourself. We have to remember we're not in this world alone, navigating purely from our own brain. We have access to higher guidance. All we have to do is ask to receive it and trust it enough to follow it by taking action in the direction of it. So we've got this grand trine between Pluto and Capricorn, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a moment, Uranus in Taurus, and Venus in Libra. Trines are harmonious aspects, so this is beneficially supporting us. Pluto is always ultimately about transformation and evolution and empowerment, and Uranus is revolutionary energy. Revolutionary energy, evolutionary energy, supporting a return to harmonized beauty, balance, and creativity, especially within relationship themes. This can be relationship with ourselves, relationship with others. And so this is where there's naturally another sphere of opportunity for growth for us all right now, collectively speaking, especially because we have that lunar eclipse coming up. If any of you who are watching this would like to have an astrological look at your chart specifically regarding what's shaping up for you around this eclipse season, I'm happy to book that with you. Just reach out. Okay, so Pluto in Capricorn just retrograded back into Capricorn. It goes back into Aquarius in mid-November, which is where it will stay for the next 20 years. So this next few months of Pluto in Capricorn retrograde is the last time that we're ever going to experience the energy of Pluto in Capricorn for the duration of our lifetime. It's going to be like 280 some years before this happens again. This is a time of reflecting and refining all of the ways that we've been evolving and developing in our lives in the Capricorn sector of your chart since 2008. Okay, and as I said at the beginning of the video, Mars enters the sign of Cancer on September 4th. This is going to have a collective influence on us all naturally feeling inspired to channel our energy and our activities in regard to home-oriented themes, doing projects around the home, organizing, decorating, things like that, which is also very aligned with the energy of this new moon and being in the midst of Virgo season, which also is a lot about organization. So then the other thing I want to talk about here is Chiron, because Chiron is making a trine aspect to Mercury. With Mercury being direct now in the sign of Leo, Leo being connected to our empowered self-leadership, creative self-expression, really tapping into the path of heart and courageousness, making this trine aspect to Chiron, which is connected to the archetype of the wounded healer, gives us that boost of energy, that empowerment, that courageousness to shift those next notches into reclaiming power and energy. This is like a power retrieval type of moment that we can all take advantage of to feed and nourish our healed selves. Ultimately, the themes of manifesting our deepest dreams are connected to us embodying the energy of nurturing self-love. So another inquiry that you can contemplate while we are in the first few days of this lunar cycle is, how can I nourish my growth? How can I remain grounded and centered so that I can really harness the power of this manifestation energy? And lastly, again, what in my life needs to shift so that I can grow? If you got something out of this video today and you enjoy this content, I invite you to take a moment to subscribe. And of course, remember to hit the bell so that you receive notifications as to my most recent uploads. Thanks so much for tuning in. All my love, blessings, namaste, and I will see you in the next video.